everyone, it's Mindy Eggen and welcome. I'm so excited today to share with you this floating vellum card, which is going to make it look like the vellum is floating above the background. I'm also going to be doing a little ink blending and a little foiling, so let's get started. I'm going to be using the mini Magnolias bundle today. So, this bundle includes a stencil to color in the image and also a coordinating die. I'm going to take the die and die cut it from some layering weight white cardstock. Then I'm going to place this on top of a sticky mat. I find this to be the easiest when it comes to ink blending in the design. I will be using the double background 2, which when you flip it over is going to double as a grip mat. So I went ahead and placed my die cut piece down. And now the coordinating stencil has 4 layers to it, 2 of them for the flowers and 2 of them for the leaves. I'll take the first layer of the stencil, which is the most open area of the flowers, and I'm lining it up with my die cut. So it's going to give it a nice white border around the edge. And then I'm going to have 3 different color flowers. The first flower I am going to ink blend with bubblegum ink. The second color I am coming in with red hot. And the third flower, the smallest one, I'm going to ink blend with butterscotch. For all of these, I am using my detail blending brushes because since the blending brush is smaller, I'm able to control where my ink is going and don't have to worry about contaminating the colors of my other flowers. The second layer of the stencil is going to be adding in some detail areas to these flowers. So once again, I lined it up over the stencil design that I have. And for the flower that I did with bubblegum, I came back in with bubblegum just a little bit heavier handed. And then I'm going to step it up just a little bit with medium carnation. For the red hot flower, I did go right over the top with the red hot ink, but again, I just picked up more ink and I also applied it with a little bit more of a heavier hand, so more pressure. And then for the yellow one, I did come in with a bit of butterscotch, but then stepped that up a little bit with honey mustard. So I just wanted to really differentiate between the layers. For the leaves, I'm going to go for more of a non traditional look. I've really been loving using Emerald Coast for my leaves. So, this first layer of the stencil for the leaves, I'm doing all in Emerald Coast. You could use a larger blending brush to do this, but I had all my detail blending brushes out, so that's just what I stuck with. Then the last layer of the stencil is going to add details into the leaves. Once again, I started out with the Emerald Coast, just applying it with a heavier hand, so just a little bit more pressure. And then I'm going to come in with Cadet Blue. Again, this is another color combo that I've really been loving is using the Cadet Blue with the Emerald Coast. Once I'm done ink blending, I can remove the last layer of the stencil. And then to remove it from the sticky mat, I just bend that sticky mat in half. Then off screen, I die cut out 2 more of the flowers from plain white cardstock using that die. I'm going to be layering those together later. First, I'm going to create my vellum piece that I have here. And I am using the oval shadow shaker. This is just the plain oval. So I only die cut it once. And here is the start of my idea. I wanted that small bouquet to fit mainly over, or I should say, most of the vellum area. I'm going to start by adding stability to my little bouquet. So I am adding some liquid glue to one of those die cut pieces and then layering my stencil design over the top. Before I create the floating vellum, I need to have a background to add it to. And I decided I was going to do some foiling. So I have my fuse foiling system warming up. I set it to number 3, and I'm going to use the Tiny Dots POLY-GLAZE. I thought this was a nice background where it had a little bit of shine to it, but yet it's going to be subtle because it's tiny dots. And I'm going to bring in the brand new brushed gold. I absolutely love this. It's a little bit of shine without being too overpowering or too shiny. So I trimmed out a piece that's going to fit over my panel. I'm going to buff over the polyglaze with a Swiffer cloth and then also a buff over the back of the foil with my Swiffer as well, just to remove any dust particles that may be laying in between the two. Then I placed my foil over the top, so I have the polyglaze facing up and the pretty side or the main side of my foil facing up as well. I put that into the carrier sheet and then I'm going to feed this through the fuse foiling system. Once I have this run through and I let it cool for a second, I can peel back the foil to reveal all of those beautiful foiled dots. Now you can see there is a little bit of a white border. I decided I wanted to leave that because I feel like that kind of made the dots separate a little bit from the edge without me having to trim it down. Now I'll start to work on the actual floating vellum piece. So my idea here is to have it look like the vellum is floating from the background. I'm going to add liquid glue behind my stencil piece and place this over my vellum. So you can see where I'm placing it. I'm filling up a good chunk of the oval, and then I'm taking that extra die cut piece. I added liquid glue to the top of that, and I am going to place this on the back. So it is the back of the vellum, but I'm layering it over the stencil piece on the other side. So they're going to line up perfect. You're not even going to notice that there's a die cut piece there. So I placed something heavy on it. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and create a side folding card base using the heavyweight white cardstock. I scored it at 4 1/4. I reinforced the fold with my bone folder, adding a tape runner to the top, and then placing my foiled panel over that. So to make the vellum seem like it's floating just a little bit more, you could add more die cut pieces. I decided to go with these small foam squares, so I added them to the back of just the floral image. I don't place them anywhere else on the vellum because otherwise you'll be able to see it. And then I added that to the front of my panel. Now, at first, I had heat embossed a sentiment in gold from the Speedy Recovery stamp set, but I felt like there was just too much gold going on. I wanted my sentiment to stand out a little bit. So I am stamping a sentiment from the Cheers to Another Year stamp set, and I'm stamping it in Obsidian ink. And then I die cut that out with the coordinating die. I also die cut out 2 more layers using the coordinating die and stacked the sentiment together. And then I just added that right over the top. So this has a very elegant and classy look to it because of that foiled background. Our sentiment stands out nicely in the black ink, but that vellum window or that vellum oval almost appears as if it's floating because we hid our foam squares and we were able to stack the die cuts. This was a great chance for me to also play with my vellum, which I don't do very often. So I hope this video inspires you, whether it is in your foiling, playing with vellum, or even the color combination. Thank you all so much for spending time with me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.